Satellite images may indicate possibly that North Korea is upgrading a nuclear research center in their country. The move comes after North Korea is committed to a denuclearization on the peninsula at a summit where Kim Jong-un and President Donald Trump met just earlier this month. Meanwhile, the United States is preparing to commit $1 billion to a missile defense radar system in Hawaii. That system would help detect any missile activity over the Pacific Ocean. So for more on all of this, we're going now to Jon Rainwater. He's the Executive Director of Peace Action Education Fund. Thank you for being with us today, this afternoon, Jon. A lot of news happening, as we know. So President Trump wrapped up his meeting with Kim Jong-un just a few weeks ago. He left that meeting telling the world that Kim had agreed to complete denuclearization, but this new satellite imagery shows that North Korea has been allegedly making improvements to infrastructure at the Jong Beyond Nuclear Research Site. Help us make sense of these conflicting pieces of information, if you could.
Well, Donald Trump likes to hype things. He's a showman. But when you put that aside, no one should be surprised that the North Koreans are continuing to go about their business. What this story proves is it shouldn't be controversial or surprising, but it proves that the Singapore summit was the start of something, not the end of something. And what we need now is we need patient diplomacy. We need not to panic about these type of stories, but it's going to take months and years of really serious diplomacy to deal with sites like these. And that's really what this story reminds us.
Right. It might have just been a little overstated by President Trump. As we know, he speaks kind of in platitudes. But Secretary of State Mike Pompeo just yesterday said that North Korea remains a nuclear threat, but also went on to defend President Trump's assertion about total denuclearization. So does the reality really rest, I guess, somewhere in between these two statements?
I think that's exactly right. I don't think we know exactly what the North Koreans have in mind when they talk about denuclearization, nor do the North Koreans know what the United States has in mind when it talks about a peace regime. So what needs to happen is we need high-level diplomacy like the type that the Secretary is dealing with, and we need ongoing diplomacy between diplomats in both countries with the South Koreans to really hash out what does a peace regime look like? What does a denuclearization regime look like in terms of specific sites, in terms of the nuclear weapons that exist? But let's step back for a second. We don't have nuclear bombs going off in North Korea, tests. We don't have intercontinental ballistic missiles being fired off. And so we are making progress, but there's a long way to go.
And I'm glad that you brought up bringing up other Asian countries in the area. Now that dialogue is open between Washington and Pyongyang, what would you like to see happen next? Is it to involve the neighbors in the Asia-Pacific region?
Absolutely. And I think that South Korean President Moon really deserves a lot of credit here, and this progress would not have been made without him. And so South Korea needs to be kept involved, and of course China needs to be involved. And so there has to be multilateral diplomacy happening while this diplomacy between the United States and North Korea is happening. I'd like to point out that in South Korea, the South Korean people are overjoyed. There's like 90% approval for this. And we forget here in the United States how important it is to those in the region who really suffer from these tensions. So they're overjoyed about the summit, but I think they understand, as we should understand, that this again is just a beginning, and members of Congress need to support diplomacy. The administration has to be patient, and this is going to take time. So let's not panic here. Let's focus on diplomacy going forward.
All right, and thank you so much. We got to leave it right there. Thank you for being with us today, Mr. Jon Rainwater, Executive Director of the Peace Action Education Fund.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.